Hey, it's Mr. Barr, and I'm going to do the work for graphing exponential functions. So I'm actually going to resume this. Let me go back to question 1. All right. So you've got to have a notebook and a piece of paper and a pencil in order to do this, and I've got some graph paper ready to go also in order to graph these. Okay, so we're going to fill in this function table. And what I'm doing is 5 times 1/2 raised to the 0.5 times -2. Well, 0.5 times -2 is -1. So this is going to be the first thing that I do, and I can use a calculator for that. We'll go with 0.5 raised to the -1 times 5 gives me 10, and you can see that I've already put a 10 into the table. And now we're going to do it again. So we're going 5, 1/2. Next one is, let's see, 0.5 times 0, which is 0. So we're going to raise it to the 0 power, which will give us a 5. Anything to the 0 power is 1. And you see I've typed that into the table already. Next one, we're putting in a 1, so it's going to be 5, 1/2, raised to the 0.5 times 1, which is 0.5. So 0.5 raised to the 0.5 times 5, 3.5 with the rounding. And then I'm doing 5 times 1/2 raised to 5 times 0.5 is 2.5. And I'll get my calculator and do that in a minute. And then the next one is 5 times 1/2 raised to the 0.5 times 10 raised to the 5th power. Okay. So 0.5 raised to the 2.5 times 5 gives me 0.9, which is what I have in there. And then 0.5 raised to the 5th power times 5 gives me the 0.2. And these answers are good. I've already checked them. Now, I'm going to need these numbers here in just a moment. So I'm writing all this stuff down. So this was a 0.9, a 0.2, and this was at -2, 0, 1, 5, 10. And I need to graph these now. So I have a piece of graph paper, and I'm going to do it like this. So I'm going to go -2. When I put in -2, out comes a 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I'm just going to put it there. It's close. When I put in a 0, out comes a 5. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. When I put in a 1, out comes a 3.5. 1, 3.5. When I put in a 5, out comes a 0.9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 0.9, which is right about there. And when I put in a 10, it's practically on the x-axis. So I get this curve that kind of looks like this. It's not perfect, but let's see how I did. All right, so I graphed it on a piece of graph paper. Have I graphed it? Yes, I have graphed it. I have graphed the equation. Now I'm going to check it, and I'm going to match it up. How did I do? Yeah, you know what? That looks right. 0, 5. Yep, they look pretty good. I got it right. If not, you need to go back and fix it. And I just did that. You know, I should be using the check answer feature. I got it right. Yeah, I got that one right. All right, so let's go on to the next one. So it's the same idea, and we're going to do it over and over again. So we're doing 1.5, so y equals 1.5 raised to the something power. So it's 0.5 times -5, which is -2.5. 1.5 raised to the -1 times 0.5 is -0.5. 1.5 raised to the 0 power, so that's going to be 0. 1.5 raised to the 5 times 0.5, which is 2.5. and 1.5 raised to the 10 times 0.5 is 5. So what I'm doing is I'm just going 0.5 times negative 5, 0.5 times negative 1, 0.5 times 0, 0.5 times 5, 0.5 times 10 to get those exponents. Now I'll use my calculator. 1.5 raised to the negative 2.5, negative 3, negative, what's that? What is that? I can't see what I'm doing. So 0.4. 1.5 raised to the negative 0.5, 0.8. Anything raised to the 0 power is 1. 1.5 raised to 2.5, 3.75, which is 3.8 with the rounding. And 1.5 raised to the 5th power. It's going to be 7.6 with the rounding. Okay, let's get those into Edulastic and see if we're getting them right. So 0.4, 0.8, 1, 3.8, 7.6. Check those answers. Doesn't like the 3.8. Let's check that guy again. So 1.5 raised to the 2.5. How about a 2.8? instead. Good. Now we have to graph this thing. What were the values that we were using? Negative 5, negative 1, negative 5, negative 1, 0, 5, 10. Get in my piece of graph paper. It might not fit perfectly, but I'll give it a shot. Okay. Oh, I have it right there on the screen. I didn't have to write it down. Okay. So at negative 5, I'm at 0.4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it's right there. 0.4, just barely. At negative 1, I'm at 0.8. Negative 1.8 is right about there. At 0, I'm at 1. At 5, I'm at 2.8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then over here, I'm at like 7 something. So 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 something. It's not perfect, but I think you get the idea of it. And there's the graph of it. So did I graph it? Did you graph it? Type yes. Yes, I graphed it. Is that right? That's correct. And yeah, that looks good. I got it right. Okay, let's do another one. So we're doing 2 times 0.25 times whatever the exponent's going to be. 2, 0.25, 2, 0.25, 2, 0.25, 2, 0.25. All right, negative 2 times 0.75 this time. So negative 2 times 0.75. Negative 2 times 0.75 gives me negative 1.5. Negative 1 times 0.75 is negative 0.75. 0 is going to be 0. Plug in a 1, I get a 0.75 up here. Plug in a 5, I get 0.75 times 5, which is 3.75. So I just figured out all my exponents. Oh, you can't see what I'm doing. Oh, Mr. Barr. Oh, Mr. Barr. Okay, so I got all those exponents ready to go by doing 0.75 times x. Now I'll use my calculator to figure out what each of these is. So 0.25 raised to the negative 1.5 times 2 gives me a 16. 0.25 raised to the negative 0.75 times 2 gives me 5.7. This is going to be anything to the 0 power is 1 times 2 is 2. 0.25 raised to the 0.75 equals that, times 2 is 0.7. And then our last one, 0.25 raised to the 3.75 times 2. Wow, it's practically a 0. Okay, let's get those guys in, see if we get them right. 16, 5.7, 2, 0.7, 0.01, checking the answers. It does not like that last one. Round answers to the nearest tenth. Rounding to the nearest tenth, this guy would be just a 0. So I lost this one on the rounding because it says to round to the nearest tenth. Okay, now we're going to graph this. All right, at -2, I'm way the heck up here at 16. So that point really doesn't even exist. At -1, I'm at 5.7. -1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.7. At 0, I'm at 2. At 1, I'm at 0.7. And at 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I'm at 0. So this guy's coming down like this. Something like that. So did I graph it? Type 1 for yes, 2 for no. 1 for yes. I know I'm making you read stuff. And yeah, that looks good. I got it right. Okay, and our final one. Let's set up all those exponents. So we were doing 2 times 1.5 raised to the whatever, 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 2 times 1.5 raised to the whatever. So -0.5 times a half, so that's going to be a -2.5 for the first exponent. -1 times a half is -0.5. 0, it's just 0. 2 times 0.5, it's going to raise it to the first power. And 8 times 0.5, that'll be the fourth power. Getting the calculator ready to go. 1.5 raised to the -2.5 times 2 gives me a 0.7. 1.5 raised to the -0.5 times 2, 1.6. Anything to the 0 power is 1, so 2 times 1 is 2. My lights just went off. Anything to the first power, so 1.5 to the first, so 2 times 1.5 is 3, and 1.5. Gotta make that light go back on so my calculator works. So 1.5 raised to the fourth power times 2 gives me 10.1. .7, 1.6, 2, 3, 10.1. Answers look good. Let's graph it. -5, I'm at 0.7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. -1, I'm at 1.6. 0, I'm at 2. At 2, I'm at 3. And at 8, I'm at 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. There we go. Let's check it against the answer key. Ooh, You know what? That's correct. It looks good. I got it right. Did you graph it? Yes. Okay, so those are out of order, so I will fix that for you. But I think we still got it done. So check answer. So I'll just have to switch the order of 11 and 12 so this works for you guys. But that's it. Let's see, can I submit this thing? Good job, Mr. Barr. All right, that's it. Thank you for watching. Have a good day.